Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you all again. Just as a re-intro, my name is Emily, and I'm the UW's Sustainability Project and Engagement Specialist. And this is Lauren Schultz. She is the Policy and Planning Specialist at our team. And today we are going to be doing a Sustainability Action Plan HuES specific visioning session. So you will all be contributing to the long-term goals and visions of what the UW will become, ideally, over the next 25 years. And just as another recap, there's lots of snacks. I know it's so beautiful back there, but feel free to mess it up. And for all of the snacks today, besides the go-go squeezes, those unfortunately do have to get trashed. But if you have empty wrappers, please place them in the little box that's below the whiteboard sign. I will take them to a specialty recycling place so we don't have to waste. But other than that, we have Lauren, and then we also have Fred Purcell, and he's going to talk a little bit about a class that is coming up if you are interested in taking it. But I'll go ahead and hand it off to Lauren. Thank you all again so much for joining. And I'll hand it to Fred.
Okay, great. Thank you all for coming. This is a wonderful endeavor, and I thoroughly enjoyed participating yesterday in the workshop. And it was great to have students there as well, getting input. I thought what I do is just introduce myself in a word. I see some familiar faces here, and talk about the class that I'll be teaching in the spring. I'm a business guy, had over a 30-year career in international business in the IT industry. Worked for a couple of big companies, software leaders, Microsoft, and also Autodesk in the computer-aided design business. I started a couple of companies along the way, and I discovered that my real passion was in education and learning. In 2004, I had a big portfolio of responsibilities at Microsoft, and my favorite one quickly became managing what they call the volume licensing charity programs. This is where any nonprofit in the US can buy anything Microsoft builds, any software product at cost. So special price list, 95% discount, special go-to-market. Of course, lots of other customers would love to buy off that price list, but we had to manage that, partners and everything. So I met hundreds of wonderful nonprofits that were doing a lot of good. And that's when I realized, this is really important to me, and it started my journey. It was about 20 years ago. I've been teaching for quite a while, a little bit here and there part-time, but now I'm pretty much full-time the last 6 years or so. And I'm very interdisciplinary. My double major in college was political science and economics. My master's is international studies. I've worked in government as well as business, and now I'm in education. So you could say that I'm a little different. I'm not animal, mineral, or vegetable. I'm all three. And I like it that way. So I teach at the Foster School. I'm housed at Foster, but I teach at the Jackson School. I also teach in environmental studies. And so the course, I'm very excited. This will be the second time that I've delivered this course, which I call New Capitalism, Leading ESG in a Changing World. It's really a landscape view of very important trends that are occurring in our globalized economy and what that means for business. It seems that companies now are required to have some purpose to make the world a better place in addition to financial success. And that's what this course is about. It is very strategic for companies in all industries of all sizes to have a sustainability strategy, to integrate it with their direction, their mission, and their brand. And ultimately, it's a journey that will lead to sustainability in all of their planning and operations in the long run. So We'll have a series of guests. I say we because I co-teach this with another business guy who was the chief marketing officer for the company that invented the electronic toothbrush. That was Sonicare. And so he, like me, had a business career. We met along the way, and he co-founded a nonprofit called Clean and Prosperous Institute. They work on decarbonization of the economy. They were one of the lead players in the initiative to block the repeal, which just succeeded, in Washington State, our election. And so Bill and I teach the course. We will have at least 6 speakers. We'll do some case studies. We have a lot of in-class exercises and discussion. And one way that we make it real is we'll form teams of students, and you will start and run a CSR office, corporate social responsibility, for a company in an online simulation. You'll be given a budget, you'll do an annual plan, you'll have a scorecard and do an assessment. So you'll have the experience of what it's like to run a sustainability program inside a company. You'll have to span the boundaries of the different departments and figure out how to get everybody on board. What's in it for you, finance, marketing, operations, and so forth, which is one of the really critical success factors I think of in sustainability roles in business. Spanning boundaries, activating people, helping them understand and make it real based on their own priorities, based on their role. So that's what we have planned. The course will be on Monday and Wednesday afternoon, 3:30 to 5:20. We're hoping to have a nice mix of students from across campus, different majors, different perspectives. Will make for a very fertile learning environment. So if there are any questions I can answer, let me know. I'll stick around a little bit. This is a flyer that we created. I have a limited number of copies in the back. I don't like to print too much these days, but there are some here. Here's my email, Fred P. And please get in touch. I could send you a syllabus, for example, and certainly answer any questions. But I think one thing I do want to say, I try to always remember and say this, thank you for your focus and interest in sustainability. You're global citizens that have that, which you'll carry as part of you. And more than ever, we need others like you today. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, Fred. That sounds like an amazing class. Does anyone have questions for Fred off the top of your head? All right, you have his email. There's some, like you said, there's some flyers in the back about the class. But yeah, this is a great opportunity to kind of bridge the interdisciplinary intersectionalities of sustainability, and maybe picture yourself beyond school. So wonderful. I think we're gonna kind of get going and get started in our visioning exercises today. But before we do that, I would like us to do a little warm up, kind of understand who's in the room. So if you all have your phones, we're just going to do a quick Mentimeter, it's called. It's basically a word cloud. If you scan, this should bring up the questions. And I am actually going to pull up the screen that'll show all of our questions. All right. So first question I wanted to ask is, how is everyone feeling today? You should see this first one pop up. If you're able to answer it, the first is energized and ready to go, calm and steady, or a bit overwhelmed and stressed. I just want to kind of get everyone's mood. And folks online, I'm working on sharing this again. And let's see where we're at. Looks like we're on the more stress side today, which is okay. I understand that feeling. But I just want to take a moment and kind of, if you need a break, if you need to step outside, get a snack, like I welcome you to do that. But I really appreciate you taking the time today and being here and being present with everyone. But yeah, next question. We have 3. The next one is kind of more about you. I'd like to know what everyone's majoring in. And if you haven't decided yet, that's totally fine. But I just wanted to see who's in the room. And we'll see them pop up. SMEA, engineering, earth and space science. Oh, okay. Urban design. Oh, we got more environmental studies. The biggest words are the most common answers. So engineering, social work. Awesome. Political science. Great. This is awesome. We're going to save these and just it'll help us kind of know who we're reaching. So thanks for answering. And last question, you don't have to scan this again, but what are 2 words that describe a sustainable UW in 2050? So 25 years from now, how might someone describe UW? It doesn't have to be necessarily sustainable related, but I'm just interested to see what words come to mind. Equitable, green, thriving, decarbonized. That's on the list. Diverse, expansionary. That's a good word. More decarbonized, regenerative, sweet, justice, leader. This is so fun. Net positive. Oh, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Okay. Well, this is a good start. I just wanted to get us our minds thinking. Let me go back to my presentation. So we did that. Thank you all for participating. I want to go over the agenda quickly, just so you know what we're planning to do today. So we're going to spend most of the time visioning today. And so what by that, I mean brainstorming together and discussing big ideas about what's currently happening here at UW with regard to sustainability and what could be. So what if questions about what UW could look like in 25 years. So we'll start with I'll go through a bit of an overview about what the Sustainability Action Plan is, what we're hoping it to become, and a little bit more about what this visioning will look like today. And then we'll jump into the actual visioning, and we're going to give you all a bit of time to do some individual brainstorming about those questions, what is currently going on, and then looking ahead into the future about what could be. And then we'll have a small group discussion together where we can share our ideas and dig a little deeper on them. And then we'll break out into stations. For those who were at the kickoff last night, it'll feel a little similar, but we're also hoping to gather new ideas from this student perspective, which can be quite different than the broader UW community. So we want to get your thoughts. There are no right or wrong answers. We really want you to kind of take those borders out of your mind about, well, this couldn't work because of this. Today, we really want you to think big and bold. And you don't have to have all of the understanding about how something would happen. We just want to know what you want to see happen. All right. So I'm going to share a little bit about what we currently have going on with regard to sustainability at UW, and a little bit about the Sustainability Action Plan. So on screen here is a high-level summary of the current plan. The current plan was created in 2020. Oh my gosh, we got a ghost. Current plan was created in 2020 and identified 10 targets. So those are the purple Roman numeral numbers there. And these targets had a 5-year implementation kind of schedule. And so we're reaching that 5th year now. And it's time for us to rethink what this plan will look like. We recognize that there was a lot of hard work done in the last 5 years on trying to achieve these targets and the actions that were associated with each one. But we also recognize that there were some big gaps. And a lot has changed in the last 5 years. But some of the gaps that we saw in this current plan were some of the targets, as you see on screen here, and I realize it's a little small, but some of the targets had metrics or percentages associated with them that helped us track as university the status and the success rate of reaching them a little bit easier. But some of them don't have those metrics, and it made it a bit difficult to track, or they were a bit too ambiguous to kind of understand whether we were meeting them or not. And so as we look forward, we really want to be as specific as we can when we set big goals, and that way it'll be easier to understand if we're meeting them. And we also want to make sure they're really meaningful. And not to say that all of these are very meaningful goals, but the first couple, for example, double student, staff, and faculty sustainability engagement by 2024. Okay, well, where did we start? What does double mean? What kind of number is that? And I don't think we necessarily had that vision long term when we set that goal. It's a great goal, but to have a little bit more structure to it would have been nice. Another one, double sustainability oriented research projects. It would have been great to understand, kind of define what a sustainability research project is, so that it's not just earth science projects. Like it could span the interdisciplinary courses and programs here at UW. So I think having a better base that kind of sets a baseline for each goal that we have, so that we can then measure and better kind of know if we're meeting them. So that was kind of the big gap. There's some inconsistencies again with how we set those goals, but we were able to meet quite a few of them. We just updated the latest progress report online on our website, sustainability.uw.edu/plan. That'll have that update. But as we work towards developing that new plan, our next iteration of the Sustainability Action Plan, our goal is to rigorously evaluate the goals that we're looking to set, to understand the resources needed to accomplish them, the financing needed to accomplish them, who's going to implement the actions to get there, and make sure those people are in the room when we're talking about setting the plan, just to set us up for success, so we're not hitting roadblocks along the way. And so, determining those stakeholders that need to be involved from the get-go, including students, will be critical. And understanding how we're going to assess those goals will also be important. We plan on creating a dashboard for our new plan that will be accessible to all the public on our website publicly, where anyone can go in and see the status of the goals and what work has been done on them. We want to avoid a one-size-fits-all approach. We really want to be intentional with the goals we're setting going forward. So again, we're gearing up. We're starting to begin visioning for this new sustainability action plan. Our biggest goals or ambitions with this new plan is to again set that and establish that 2050 vision, which we're doing now in this phase of work. We're going to be reaching out and engaging with multiple stakeholders or partners here at UW, including students, staff, faculty, and the broader UW community. So our partners external to this university. And we want to utilize everyone's brain power to help set our vision, to then create more ambitious goals and actions that are driven by science and climate data that are that also incorporate policy that's currently happening in Washington, including the Climate Commitment Act that Fred had mentioned. There's lots of levers that we can pull, and to understand those will be important. Yeah, and we want to understand the unique needs of the university, including student perspectives, and we want to share those perspectives. A big part of this new plan will be storytelling, so highlighting the achievements that are happening here at UW, the ideas that people bring, and bring those and incorporate those into the plan itself. So it's not just kind of this PDF report that sits on the shelf. We want it to be interactive and kind of a living plan. All right. So this is also on a poster over there at the table. This is a high level version of it. I just want to kind of walk through quickly what our timeline looks like in the phases of the work of creating a new plan. So these visioning sessions that we're starting now is this first phase, and we plan to do this across the tri-campus. So we have Tacoma online today. Bothell unfortunately lost all their power in the storm earlier this week, so they couldn't join. But we plan to go to their campuses in the coming months and have visioning sessions like this with their students, staff, and faculty. And we're going to use these visioning sessions to create kind of a North Star to understand, okay, here's the broader understanding of where we want to be in 25 years. We're going to use this information we receive from you all to inform working groups that will form the goals and actions that will be described in the plan itself. So we'll take the big ideas, thoughts, concerns that are described by you all today, bring them to the working groups. They'll analyze them, pull out themes, and create more concrete goals that'll then again be analyzed and vetted to ensure that they're as feasible as we can make them, but also keep that those big ambitious goals at the head of things. We definitely want to center equity and inclusion and diversity in this new planning process. And our team is currently building an equity framework of sorts that will be applied to each basically working group that they can use as a framework to build the goals and actions that are informed by the visioning. So that way it's a consistent, we have a consistent equity lens in the planning itself. So ultimately our goal is to have a final plan with a clear vision that's accessible and inclusive, and have prioritized goals that can really get us going and move the dial on sustainability in the next 5, 10, 20 years. I want to also highlight a few of the engagement pieces of this planning process. We anticipate having the plan kind of polished and ready to publish early 2026. So it's going to be about an 18-month process. We don't want to rush things. We want to make sure that we're hearing all the voices we can. There's going to be many ways to engage throughout this next 18 months. We have these visioning sessions. We're going to have more community meetings like the one we had last night. We anticipate having about 3 of those total over the next 18 months where we can have touch points with the broader UW community, including those external partners. We're going to have working groups, as I mentioned, that'll be representative of faculty, staff, topic experts, student perspectives, that'll form those groups or those actions and goals. And then additionally, these examples I have on screen, we're kicking off this initiative called Message to the Future, where we invite students, staff, faculty to engage in our plan through a message, a letter, a piece of art, an expression, any kind of expression, whether it's audio, visual, or otherwise, to express how you envision UW being in 2050 and what you want to share to the future, basically, about sustainability. So this is a very exciting way, I think, to also incorporate that storytelling. So I encourage you all to just start thinking about that. We have postcards. If you have a big thought that you want to share, they're on your table as well. And we'd like to find ways to showcase those online, in person. So that's something we're really excited about. But yeah, make sure I covered everything. All right, I want to go over today's approach because I want to get you all thinking. We're going to go through about two or three exercises. We'll walk through these together. The first one is the what is. So we're going to take stock of what's currently happening. And so a brief, I showed you a bit about the current plan, kind of the gaps that we see with the current 10 targets. But I also want to leave time for you all to share what you think and what you experience as a student here at UW and how you experience sustainability on a day-to-day basis. And kind of spend some time thinking about what's lacking with regard to sustainability, with regard to equity and diversity here on campus. So that'll be under the number 1 on your placemat. Those 2 questions we'll address first, and then we'll jump into the what if brainstorming, where we'll get to think bigger and bolder into the future. And I want to leave that a big space for you all to do that. And then we'll discuss together at your tables. And then we'll break out into stations where we'll get to dig a little deeper on specific topics that we anticipate being included in the plan. All right. So let's jump into individual visioning. Does anyone have any questions before I get started on anything I just went over? All right. So for individual visioning, I'm going to give you all about 10-ish minutes to think about what's currently happening. So how do you encounter sustainability efforts in your daily student life? Where do you feel these efforts are missing or lacking? And then how are you seeing environmental justice and social equity show up here at UW? So on your placemat, please go ahead and start writing answers to number 1, those 2 under that section. All right, we're going to switch to our next section, and I'll put the music back on, but I want to introduce it, the what if. So wrap up your thoughts on what's currently happening and switch your brain over to thinking about the future, which I know can be a little difficult, but we want you to think about what UW could look like or should look like in 2050 if it was a global leader in sustainability. So kind of the ideal future. We want to think about what if every building on campus generated more energy than it used? Kind of getting at that net positive goal. And what if sustainability was a core piece of curriculum that all students had to take throughout their 4 years or beyond? Or if it was somehow integrated into all classes. So those are just some examples, but thinking about it from the operations side. So how UW generates power, manages its landscapes, how folks commute to campus, thinking about it from the academic side, how students learn, how faculty teach, and then also kind of thinking about what kind of partnerships might we have in the future with corporations. So I'll let you kind of use your individual brainstorming time here, but think big. And if you have questions, feel free to let us know. We'll do another about 5 or 6 minutes here. All right. I hope that was enough time for you all to get some of your big ideas down. Continue to think, continue to write as they come. That's totally fine. I want us just to move into some group reflection so we can talk about it, or you all can talk about it together at your tables. So I'd love for you all to go around the circle and share your 1 or 2 of your favorite big ideas or big thoughts that you had in that what if section. So thinking about the future. And then as you kind of talk about those ideas, I'd love for you to think about these 2 purple questions on screen. Is your idea or thought bold and or challenging a status quo that currently exists and kind of how it does that. And then what impacts could your idea have? So who might it benefit? Who could it potentially burden? So just some things to think about as you talk amongst yourselves, but we'll spend about 10-ish minutes going around your table and talking, and keep writing if you have ideas. All right. I'm going to give, no, I think we're going to move on actually. We have about a half an hour left, so I want to make sure we can get to our final exercise, but I heard a lot of cool things being talked about. I do, just because we have one student in Tacoma, Julie, if you're on mute right now, but I'd love to hear just a couple takeaways, highlights from what you talked about with the student in the room, and I'll put you on screen. I can't hear you currently. You're still on mute.
Yeah, we were just checking to see who was going to do the talking. Hi, everybody from Tacoma. I'm Julie, and this is Dennis. So we kind of had an in-depth conversation about just some specific things on the Tacoma campus. Mainly, we were talking about student housing and how we need better communication to students coming and residing in our housing about waste and how to be better stewards of the community and being using materials to their fullest and not throwing things away when they still can be used, and maybe developing some sort of communication on, you know, running full loads of a dishwasher, running full loads of laundry, and not just, you know, running one cup through the dishwasher. So we're thinking maybe we could try to get some metrics on where we're at right now, and then set some sort of goal for our residence hall, and like do some surveying of students and putting out messaging at orientation or something like that to bring more awareness to and be more thoughtful of how students are living on campus. And then we talked about, so we're both lab folks, so we were talking about waste in the lab and how we can better communicate to students on how to use less materials in the lab and really think about the procedure that they're doing, and not, you know, really focusing on what they're doing in the lab so that they don't need to reduce steps and then use more materials, and then creating maybe some better recycling options in the lab. And then we started to have a conversation about technology. Do you want to say anything about that?
In general, as a broad idea, I think the concept of free and open source software has a lot of overlap with sustainability in terms of who is the provider of the software we use as students and as an institution. Would it be possible at some point to implement or discuss alternatives to technology provided by Microsoft or Google? In that, are these companies do they stand for the green principles they say they do in terms of business practices, in terms of achieving a profit motive?
Sweet. Thank you both so much. Those are really great ideas. Thanks, Dennis and Julie. Yeah, this was a fantastic start to our visioning, and we want to continue it through some more kind of focused topics. So we're going to be moving on to our station exercise. And so Julie and Dennis, I believe you have those stations in the agenda, Julie. So you'll probably, if you don't mind running through that with Dennis and documenting any ideas, that would be great. But I'll describe a little bit about what we're going to do. So this will be a World Cafe type of visioning session. We have 4 different flip charts. We're going to move them once we get settled. But at the top, I'm thinking of how many numbers we have. Yeah, I think we can do it. At the top of your placemat should be a letter. and it'll correspond with which station you start at. So A folks, you'll start at academics, research, and learning. Some of the examples that we talked about, or what kind of courses could be implemented, programs, learnings, what do learning spaces look like, what does research and innovation focus on with regard to sustainability, kind of living labs might we have on campus. B, so if you have a B in your corner, you're going to be at operations and infrastructure first. We're going to rotate too, but that could include food systems, waste, energy, carbon emissions, and we'll have some examples that we can show you once you get there to get you thinking. But C, if you have a C, you're started partnerships and collaboration. So this is kind of what partnerships does UW have? What should they look like in 50 years? What might our connection with the local community look like? The regional community, our state, our nation, internationally, thinking about that with relation to sustainability. And then the last one, D, serving our community. This is a little bit about how does UW impact our community? How does it serve our community? This right now kind of looks like UW's medicine and healthcare. We're serving our community in that way. But the food pantry, athletics, where, how can we connect fans to sustainability and wanting to be champions for sustainability? And then Surplus, if you're all familiar with Surplus, it's a great store. It's open on Tuesdays. But they have kind of excess goods and materials that you can get for a really low price. So I would like us all to start moving towards those stations, and there'll be one of us at each. Right here is operations and infrastructure. So B's, please come here. Serving our community. D's, please go there. Academics, A's to the left corner, and partnerships, C in the right corner. All right. How are we doing on time?
We're doing really bad on it.
Well, if folks have to leave, that's okay. We're at time, I believe. We want you to keep thinking about these ideas. We have the storytelling QR code there. We'll also we'll have Emily share out. We have you on our list. Opportunities to engage. But we're going to take these ideas, pull out the themes, and give these to our future working groups to build the goals and actions we'll see in our new plan. So what you did today was incredibly important to what this plan will look like. Is there anything else, Emily, that we wanted to share?
Yeah, so a couple really, really, really quick things, I promise. So one, if you're not already on the email list, please go ahead and sign up for it. It's on the uw.sustainability.edu. No, yes. And go to HuES and then just submit your interest, and then it'll be added to our email list. I do an email like 1 to 2 times a month. Won't spam you, promise. And our next meeting for HuES is not in December. It's going to be in January. And I'm thinking we're actually going to do a couple little field trips. So if you are interested, go ahead and sign up. Stay tuned. May or may not involve the power plant. Would be very cool. And then other than that, really quickly, Alice is back there. She's with UW Food Co-op. So if there are any questions that you have, really good opportunity to get involved. If you want to say anything, you are also amazing. And yeah, if you also want to stick around for an extra couple minutes and finish out your different segment, would love to have your thoughts. But again, thank you all so much. Really appreciate your time. You rock. Thanks.
Does anyone here know that we exist, the Student Food Cooperative? Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been pretty dead for the past 2 years. So we are working on getting it back together. I think a big focus we want to do is like food justice, food sustainability, and working with the student food pantry because they are a great resource if you don't know about them. It's basically just a free food bank for students. Yeah, just really promoting all those values all together. Yeah, so I honestly have no clue. We just started, so
In the past, the SFC was involved in doing the Humble Feast. Do you know around what time it was held every single year? They did Humble Feasts and like a community dinner with recipes. And I think they were in charge of the bean basket for a bit, but it's been inactive for a couple of years, and we're just like starting in and getting to know like members of the community a little bit more. And so today was kind of like a huge step in seeing like all of your faces here.
We have emails. I think my email is just asuwsfc@uw.edu. So if you want to reach out, I think eventually like they used to have like regular meetings. That's something we want to do. Yeah. Yeah, I think like the thing we're working on right now is food drives to help support the student food pantry as well. If you guys have any ideas around that? We're all ears.